Technology in GIS never slows down. Every release brings new tools, smarter workflows, and fresh ways to manage, analyze, and share spatial information. In this seasonal Getting Technical episode, we're taking a tour through what's new across the ArcGIS ecosystem. Today, that's going to include a look at ArcGIS Enterprise 12.1, updates to ArcGIS Pro in 3.7, and new ArcGIS Online capabilities from the June 2026 update. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Geographical Thinking. I'm Michelle Brake, and I'll be your guide as we explore ideas, stories, and conversations through the lens of geography. We're thrilled to bring you another episode of our tech-focused segment, Getting Technical. In today's episode, we're exploring a trio of topics on what's new across the ArcGIS ecosystem. First up is Jarrett Totton, an ArcGIS Enterprise product specialist, to kick things off with what's new in ArcGIS Enterprise. This is going to include ArcGIS Data Pipelines and some emerging capabilities like the MCP server in beta, and what could this mean for the future of Enterprise. Then Céline Doré, a senior ArcGIS Pro and imagery consultant, joins us to unpack ArcGIS Pro 3.7. From the new Analyze Map pane for identifying performance issues to layout and editing improvements that are going to help make everyday workflows cleaner and more flexible. And finally, Maggie Samson, an ArcGIS Online product specialist, rounds out the episode with the latest in ArcGIS Online. This is going to include app enhancements like dashboard text scaling and experience builder updates, and a wave of admin-focused improvements designed to make managing your organization a little bit easier. Let's get into it. Over to you, Allison.
Thanks, Michelle. Jarrett, welcome to the Summer Getting Technical episode. How have you been?
Good. Yeah, it's my second podcast with you guys, so it'll be neat. Now I know what I'm doing a little more. So yeah, excited to answer some questions on what's new in ArcGIS Enterprise.
Good. Yeah. So you're not new to our podcast, so we're very lucky to have you talk about the notable new features to ArcGIS Enterprise 12.1. But I want you to start off with what you think some of those standout new features are, and why does it really excite you the most?
So the main kind of feature in general availability that I'm most excited for is the metrics API. This is something people have really been asking for, kind of on the observability side of things. So what it allows you to do is there's an API endpoint, and from that, you can see different kind of stats on your portal machines, your server machines, your data store machines, and then bring those into dashboards. So you can see in real time kind of how your services are performing, what services users are using, what your users are doing, then see how your kind of machine resources. So how much of your RAM is being used when those things are happening, how much of your CPUs are being used when those things are happening. So it kind of takes you from being reactive to proactive with that. And then it also integrates with Prometheus, which fetches all the data for you, and then Grafana is a front-end dashboard, and there's some kind of default templates you can get. I actually set it up myself on a local install of ArcGIS Enterprise, and it's pretty cool to see. And then another one that I just kind of the honorable mention that I want to mention is the MCP server beta. So it's currently in public beta. So anybody with ArcGIS Enterprise, you can sign up for that public beta, and then it gives you access to an overlay that you can install, and then that allows you to install it on your ArcGIS Enterprise deployment. And what that is, so MCP just stands for Model Context Protocol, and that kind of exposes tools, so a set list of tools to your AI agents. So you can connect that with your AI agent, and it knows it has these tools from your ArcGIS Enterprise, and you can extend those tools using custom geoprocessing services and stuff like that. So it's still in beta. It should be in the general release later in the next version or so, but it's pretty cool as well.
I really liked how you talked about being proactive with the metrics API. That's really nice to hear. I want to know though, what capabilities do you think deliver the most impact to our ArcGIS Enterprise users?
Big one is we have a new server role that came out of beta in 12.1. So ArcGIS Data Pipeline server, it was available in ArcGIS Online, and now it's available as a generally available feature in ArcGIS Enterprise. And it's the low code extract, transform, and load. So it's kind of your visual editor. You have some data, whether it's one or multiple data sources, you do something to that data, and then you send it somewhere, and you can send it all to one place or to multiple places. So the things you might do, you might run some geoprocessing tools on them. You might change some fields, change some rows, combine data sets, split things up. So what this does is it gets us away from kind of custom scripts or third-party tools, and it's built into the ArcGIS ecosystem. And that kind of frees up, like it's good to use Python for automating things, but sometimes it takes more skill. Not everybody knows Python. It also, those scripts end up getting kind of stored and run somewhere. So you have to keep track of where they're running. And then you also have to know, when you look at that code, you have to know, what was this person thinking? What was their thought process? So you have to make sure it's documented well. With data pipelines, you know, all of these processes are being run from ArcGIS Enterprise. You know where to go look for them. It's very visual, so it's kind of reading it. You know what it's doing, and then where it's visual, it's easier for somebody to pick it up and kind of get working with it. And then just kind of a few other ones, kind of bringing things into making admin of your ArcGIS Enterprise deployment easier. So there's been improvements to the response caching and the way it works. So previously we had response caching, and what response caching is, it came in when the object store was added. So when somebody's using a web map, they send a request to your server, and then your server makes an image and then sends it to the map. And every time they request a different piece of the map, it makes a new image and sends it. And so your server is always getting hit. With response caching, what happens is somebody requests that image, and then your server stores it in the object store for a little while. So if somebody else requests that same area, or you request that same area later, it's already there. And this cache gets cleaned out every once in a while, but it enhances that. Either it's faster for your users to draw maps, and then also less hit on your ArcGIS server. But the improvement, what I'm getting at, is that before you had to enable it in the REST API. Now you can enable it from Portal in the item details page. So you just go in, it's just a toggle. So it's a pretty nice thing to have. And then also similarly with the distributed collaborations. So we know what a distributed collaboration, we're sharing data between two whether it's two ArcGIS Enterprise deployments or ArcGIS Enterprise and ArcGIS Online. And you use a group, anything that's shared with that group, it gets shared between the two, and you can do it as a reference where it's live data, or copies where it's synced every so often. And you had to go in a few different places to kind of see all the details. So you had to go to your organization settings, and you could see what it was. You could go into the REST API and see a few more things. But now if you go to the group that manages it, you can see all the details right there. You can see whether it's sync or reference. You can see when it's synced last, and you can see whether you're a guest or a host in the collaboration. So it just kind of brings it again into the Portal GUI to make it easier to administrate these things.
Okay, very cool. Like new features. I love little things that basically make your life easier, not having to go search for things, or just having a simple toggle button. So thanks for sharing. Those are really cool. But let's look ahead. And I want to know, how do you see these new features shaping like ArcGIS Enterprise in the next few years?
Yeah, so like I said, increased observability. That's what everyone wants. That if you can observe your system and your services and see how they're being used and how things are performing, then you can make a lot better system. You can either add resources or optimize those services. Another one is making automations easier. So that frees people up for other tasks and makes things more consistent and makes it easier for people to automate tasks. So, and then at the same time, it reduces that human error. If people are doing repetitive manual tasks, there's the chance for human error. If it's a repetitive task and the computer's doing it, it does it the same way every time. You still might want to check things, and as things change, update your process as you go, but it makes things a lot easier. And then I also, like I said, making administration of your deployment easier. Everybody likes that. So instead of having to go to all these different places to see how things are configured or to set settings, we're bringing more of those settings into Portal for ArcGIS. So yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it's really going to increase like people's productivity. Like that's kind of what I'm thinking of hearing all these things that you're sharing. I'm like, that's going to increase people's productivity. So thanks for sharing that.
Oh,
I have one final question for you, and this is a non Esri related question. Okay. It's something summer related. And I want to know, since we're like heading into summer now, it's getting warmer, at least where I am in Ottawa, it's getting warm. I want to know, do you have a go-to summer activity to like keep you cool? Nice and cool and refreshed. In Ottawa, it's hot. Where you are, Jarrett, does it get really hot? Are you on the coast?
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess one thing now I have air conditioning in my house, so that keeps me cool. But yeah, funner stuff to keep cool. Yeah, my kids, we have a sprinkler for the yard, and we set that up, and yeah, everybody just gets wet and cool.
Good choice. I love that. That's fun. That's fun. But thanks for meeting me today, Jarrett. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and
Mhm.
I hope to see you back at the next update.
Oh, thanks for having me, Allison.
Awesome. So that was Jarrett from our product management team providing what's new about ArcGIS Enterprise 12.1. Next up, we have Céline from our customer support team to talk about what's new in ArcGIS Pro 3.7. Céline, welcome back. How have you been?
Great, Allison. Thanks for having me back.
So you don't need an introduction because you've been here before. So we can just get into the juicy information about ArcGIS Pro 3.7. So how about you start us off by talking about your favorite feature of this release?
Well, from a support perspective, one feature I'm really excited about is the Analyze Map pane. So it was designed to help identify potential performance issues when drawing maps. So it gives you detailed metrics for each layer, things like data processing time and feature complexity, so you can quickly see bottlenecks. For us, this is huge in support because performance issues are often what clients call about. So it's great to have another tool that'll help us and our users pinpoint potential root of the problem.
And as someone who worked in support with you for many years, I am so happy that this was added. I think this is going to be very useful. So, yes, this is good choice as
Yeah.
your favorite feature. And then something maybe that like you think clients that you're working with, what's something that you think they're going to be excited about?
I think clients are going to be very excited about layer visibility. So this is obviously new at 3.7. It's something that clients have been asking for multiple years. I can already think of like a few cases that I've worked with clients where layer visibility was something they really needed. So what it is previously, if you wanted to show different combinations of layers and layouts, you had to create multiple maps. So this would just bloat your project quickly because you want to show the same information that's all found in the one map, but you couldn't toggle on and off the different layers. So now you can control the layer visibility independently from each map frame, all from a single map. So it's much cleaner workflow, and it makes it easier to highlight different pieces of information without having to duplicate your work. A few other things that I thought were neat. There's quite a few editing improvements, and they're kind of nice quality of life improvements for editing. So, for example, the divide tool now supports splitting features using multiple lines based on distance. So it gives you a lot more flexibility. So before you can only select one part of your line. So if you're working with a road network that had multiple different intersections, you'd have to merge everything together, and now you can just actually select all the parts of the lines that you want to divide, and the divide tool will do it. Another one is there's a new change line length tool available directly in the context menu when editing vertices. So it's a lot faster and more intuitive to make precise adjustments. So before you could do it, it was just a little clunkier to get to where you wanted to go. And also, this is one I didn't work with, but again, a lot of users were excited about this. When you're streaming vertices, you'd often end up with irregular spacing, even if you set a specific streaming tolerance. So this would be frustrating from some users where they needed the precision and they needed the consistency and predictability of the spacing between vertices when they're streaming. At 3.7, Esri introduced an improvement, the simplify option in the streaming options dialog. So now when simplify is turned off, the streaming tolerance is strictly enforced. So that means you get exactly the vertex spacing you asked for.
Okay.
So that's another change that was added. Again, I thought for editing, it seems some good quality of life adjustments.
Yeah, so no, a lot of great additions there in editing, in the like layer visibility, and just seems like everyone's going to be more productive when they're editing. So another productivity theme with this update. That's great. And I do know that there were some imagery related new features, right? Maybe you can touch on some of those or one of those.
Yeah, so there's a few interesting ones, especially for users working with scan maps. There's two new tools called Extract Scan Lines and Extract Scan Polygons. So these automatically generate vector features from raster images. So instead of manually digitizing features from a scan map, which obviously takes a lot of time, you can now extract them directly using those tools. It's actually very similar to what ArcScan used to offer in ArcMap. So it's a nice bridge between, ArcMap and transitioning to ArcGIS Pro.
A nice little shout out to ArcMap there, especially since this is that first release of ArcGIS Pro post ArcMap retirement, right? So are there any features that we needed ArcMap for in the past that were added since the retirement?
Yes. Yes. So if you are still working with personal geodatabases, you should know, or maybe you're aware, that personal geodatabases aren't supported in ArcGIS Pro. So at 3.7, they created a new tool called Convert Personal Geodatabase. So again, they're not supported in ArcGIS Pro, but the new Convert Personal Geodatabase tool allows users to bring your data forward into either a mobile file or onto an enterprise geodatabase through an XML workspace conversion. So you won't be able to see your personal geodatabases you can't add the data from it, but you will be able to convert it easily using this tool.
Perfect. Especially since ArcMap is no longer available. We need something to convert that. So that is great. I kind of want to talk about licensing now. And I know licensing is a little bit of a tricky topic, but I know that there's been some changes. So can you shed some light on some of those updates?
Sure. Yes, there's quite a few licensing changes at 3.7. Probably the most important to note is that if you're working with concurrent use, you'll have to updating your licensing model that you're working with. You can only work with either a single use or named users. So concurrent use is no longer supported at 3.7. Also, they did change the single-use license. Single-use license are updated to include information about the term of maintenance. So this should help organizations stay in compliance with the Esri Master Agreement while providing access to the newest software. So every time software maintenance is renewed, single-use license containing the new maintenance terms will be updated in my Esri. So those are the two big changes for licenses.
Great. Thank you for sharing. And you mentioned so many cool new features. So thank you very much. But we're going to end off on a fun little question, different than Jarrett's question, nothing Esri related.
Okay.
Because it's the summer, I'm just, summer is in my brain, the nice weather. I want to know, if you could spend a summer anywhere in the world, a full summer, where would you go?
Man, everywhere in the world. And I'd have unlimited funds. Well, if I
Yes.
had unlimited funds, I would definitely go to France and spend my time around Chamonix and Lyon. If I don't have unlimited funds, I would like to spend it in our cottage the whole summer. Would be lovely.
Great choices.
And that is near Kearney, Ontario, which is not even a dot on the map. It's so small. So,
great.
but it's lovely. It's on the water.
Yes, being on the water, that's key in the summer.
Yeah.
Good choices. Well, Céline, thank you so much for chatting today.
Thanks for having me again.
Awesome. And I will hopefully see you back at the next update.
Sounds good.
That was Céline from our customer support team providing details on what's new in ArcGIS Pro 3.7. Next up, we have Maggie from our product management team to talk about the latest release of ArcGIS Online. Welcome to our podcast legend, Maggie. How are you?
I'm doing great, Allison. Thanks. I'm so happy to be back.
I'm so happy to talk to you today about this newest release. There's so many cool additions to ArcGIS Online, and I know you have a lot to share, but I first just want to hear about your favorite feature of this release.
You're right. There is a lot in this release, but it's always hard to pick a favorite. And I think I'm actually going to give a shout out to the ArcGIS Story Maps team this time around. I think their new feature of frames is my favorite. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a new way of building your stories that is focused on the mobile experience. So instead of that long scrolling page you might be familiar with regular story maps, these ones are more of like a small slide based presentation that lets you really focus on maps and key messages, which is really great for sharing things with the public. So if you have public notices or project updates you want to share out with people, we know most people are using their phones to access the internet, not their computers every day. So the story maps that are based around the mobile device, that is really exciting to me. And I think our customers are going to get a lot of great use out of it.
Really good choice. And I'm pretty biased with this as well because shout out, we just made an app actually using frames and
Yeah.
I loved it. I think it's a great one. It's so easy to use. So,
Absolutely.
good choice. Maybe we can talk about a feature that you think most customers will be excited about.
It's always hard to predict what our customers are going to really love, but going through everything that's out in this release, I think people are going to be happy to have the new review map tool in the map viewer. It lets you take a look at what's going on in your maps and breaks down how each layer is contributing to your performance, and recommends improvements on how to work with it. This is really great, again, for people who are working with the public. So I've kind of got a public trend going on here, but anything that you're going to be sharing out to a large mass of people or that's going to have really high demand for use, it's super important to have these tools that can let you make sure that things are all set up the way they need to be and that you're not going to experience any kind of unexpected slowdowns. Really great if you have things like dashboards or emergency response apps where performance matters in the moment. So understanding how your map is working, how the layers are working together, and what you can do to catch issues before your end users do is a great add from the ArcGIS Online team.
Good choice. And it seems very similar to that Analyze Map, a new feature in ArcGIS Pro. So I like to see that there's kind of similar tools in ArcGIS Pro and ArcGIS Online. Good choice. What about some new things or new things we should be excited about in all of the different apps?
Again, so many things, and we have so many apps. So I tried to limit myself to just sort of the three that most stand out to me. One for 3 different apps. Starting with ArcGIS dashboards, it might seem kind of small, but the team this time around has added some improved handling for text scaling, which is actually huge for usability. If you've ever built a dashboard before, maybe you have a bunch of indicators on there and then you open it up on a different computer where the screen is a different size and text gets cut off. This is going to help avoid those problems, making things more readable across devices and making things more accessible for people who are using it on different machines. It also improves how screen readers work with the product as well. So great add from the dashboards team. In ArcGIS Experience Builder, huge for our federal customers or anyone working with bilingual communities is the ability to use translation and language switching in dashboards. So it's sort of two new things built together. You can make a multilingual dashboard and use the AI assistant for translating that if you need to do it automatically, or you can translate it manually. And then they have a new widget that is the language switching widget, which of course makes sense with your translated dashboard, so that you can have a whole bunch of audiences that can work with your content. It's not limited to 2. You can have many different languages in there. And this way you can have users engage with your work without having to build separate apps for every language that might be accessing your content. And then finally, in the ArcGIS solutions, which again is one of the ones that, people don't always look at solutions. I always try to shout it out, honestly, when I'm on these podcasts, because it's a little underused part of the product, but a great tool to help you get going on complicated workflows. And to make it even easier for you to use, the solutions team has released a new AI assistant right now in beta. But what it helps you do is understand what solutions are available, use that human language to engage with the solutions page, find the solutions that work for you, and then actually you can use this tool to customize the solution. So changing the fields that are available in the layers, or modifying how things work a little bit in the solutions to make them work better for the kind of workflows that you need, making it easier to get started and having more value to those solutions, because we know the hardest part of working with those tools is getting started and making it match what you want. So this tool takes it a little bit farther for you and helps that beginning process be a little smoother.
That's really cool. And is it in beta?
That is in beta, that new AI assistant, but the other two things are not.
Okay, very cool. And especially because there are so many solutions. So I think this will help, and they're quite underutilized, I would say. So this will help hopefully get people more comfortable with using them, deploying them. So that's exactly a great addition. But speaking of beta, I think that there are a lot of features that have recently come out of beta. So can you share some of those?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's moving out of beta into the more mature stages of their release, which is great because, people can start using them with more confidence and using them in their real world workflows. Some of those things are like the credit dashboard out in beta last release, available in general now, which is a new way for administrators to understand how credits are used in their organization, really focusing on the individual uses like storage and transactions and giving you more transparency in your accounts. We also in the map viewer have custom print layouts, which have been in beta for a long time now in general availability. This lets you use custom templates that you've published ArcGIS Online to create print maps and exports that have important things to you, like your logos, set up custom legends, inset maps, sort of anything you need to create that specific branded map experience for your customers. Still in the maps, but now in 3D maps, we have the Google Photorealistic 3D base maps that are coming out of beta and into preview, which is that sort of in-between stage of general availability and beta. So organizations that don't typically look at beta tools, have that setting turned off, can access this now and get started in testing workflows. It's a really great tool to bring a more immersive and realistic 3D experience to your scenes. And then finally, you've heard lots about them, but the AI assistants, we have the first 3 of them coming out of beta into general availability. So a lot more users will be able to start engaging with them. There are 3 there. There's the ArcGIS Survey 123 Assistant, which helps you build and refine survey forms. Your Business Analyst Assistant, which has recommended workflows, data, and infographics for finding insights faster. And then the Translation Assistant, which is pretty clear what it does from its name, but helps make it easier for you to share content in different languages and translate your apps. Overall, a big mix of stuff from administration to smarter workflows, but lots of ways to make your organizations better with this update.
Yeah, and one of the ones that really stood out to me was that credit dashboard. It really seems like there's like some cool admin updates. And is that what Esri was really focusing on, is admin improvements?
Yeah, of course, they're always working on improving everything across the board, but we know a lot of users are moving from the very first time to administering their organizations in ArcGIS Online from different methods in the past. So they're always making big improvements on that process so that people can be more comfortable with administering content and users through the ArcGIS Online portal. So yeah, we have that new dashboard with credits just to make transparency, make it clearer for you to understand what's happening. But we also have some ads this time around, like being able to better view dependency of items, seeing what specific layers and templates are used in an app that was made so you can understand how content is used in your organization, or the new tools for managing users where we don't have to create new accounts if we're switching the login types, like if we're moving to SAML, we can make those changes right inside of the organization now. Don't have to like delete and re-add members. So just a nice and smooth process to reduce friction and save time. When you're dealing with large organizations and large teams, they're not always the flashiest updates, but Esri definitely wants to make an impact on your day-to-day operations when working with ArcGIS Online.
Yeah, which makes me think again, productivity, increasing that productivity, especially even on the admin side, we can always increase our productivity. So great things to share. Thanks, Maggie. And I want to end off with a fun question like I did with Céline and Jarrett.
Okay.
And fun fact, I have a fun fact about Maggie is that I think that she is a great baker, like a wonderful baker. So a little compliment for you there. But I want to know, what is your favorite summer dessert that you make?
That I make, that's tough. It's always fun when other people make things for you, but I do like to bake. I think in the summer you definitely have to do stuff that has fresh fruit involved in it, because we get so rarely fresh things. And even though it's technically a Christmas dessert, it comes from Australia, so for me it's a summer dessert. I think it's going to be pavlova. Who doesn't love a nice light sweet treat with fresh fruit on top?
Amazing choice. And I was recently introduced to a homemade pavlova, and incredible. So great choice. I'm obsessed with them now.
Yeah, they're very good.
Choice. Well, thanks for providing your expertise today, Maggie.
Thanks, Allison. It was always a pleasure to be here with you.
Good. And I'm hoping I can chat with you next time for the next update.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Maggie. That was Maggie Samson from our product management team who gave us details about the ArcGIS Online update. Jarrett, Céline, and Maggie, thanks so much for being here today. And thanks everyone for listening.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Getting Technical. From deeper observability in ArcGIS Enterprise to performance-focused tools and licensing updates in ArcGIS Pro, to smarter content management and app enhancements in ArcGIS Online, this season's updates all point to a similar direction, helping GIS teams work with more insight, more flexibility, and a little less friction overall. We'll be back next season with more updates from across the ArcGIS ecosystem. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep thinking geographically.